They want to know what you knew, when you knew it, and why. And that I think is going to be that could be a lot of damage, and I'll explain to you why. First of all, at the end of the day, what's really going on here is let me tell you. First of all, let me tell you what's happening so you understand. So basically, the House committee is subpoenaing the subpoenaed Jeffrey Epstein record from the Justice Department, and they're asking for a lot of bunch of people to actually come on board and talk about it. They want to hear as to what's going on. They want to know. They want to bring everybody to the table. They want to bring everybody to the table, and they want to basically know what's going on. And obviously, the question is this: well, what is going on? What is really going on? I guess you want to say. So, what is going on? Well, Republican-led committee is seeking to depose Bill and Hillary Clinton, former officials, that they ramp up inquiry in a disclosed financing crimes. They want to know. Bring them all here. We want to know what happened. We want to know what happened, and it's not just anybody that's asking. It's not anybody that's asking. I mean, basically, the Congress wants to know. Congress wants to know what is going on. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal because, whenever Congress basically make the laws of this country and they want to know what's happening. So I am not here to report the news really, and you got enough of that all day long, they're doing this, they're doing that. What we're here for, we're here to really trying to evaluate what is the situation, what's going on here? What are they actually doing? So essentially, it's fairly simple. The Republicans and Democrats are basically saying, we want to see everything and we want to talk to everyone. I mean, almost everyone. We even want to talk to Hillary and Bill Clinton. Why? Now, this is a big topic, and I'll explain to you why this is a big topic. This is a big topic because obviously it impacts the Trump administration. Right? At the end of the day, everyone wants to know, is the guy involved or not? Is Trump part of this thing? And because obviously the Republicans want to know, because these are the MAGA people. The MAGA people want to know. And frankly, they should. And the Democrats, they want to know because now they could say, aha, I told you so. And this is a big deal for Trump and for the administration because a lot of what they're doing right now is highly dependent on their ability to get things done. Because some of the things that they're doing, pretty, I would say they are, it's not illegal. It's just they're going, a strong way. They're going at it. They want to know. They basically, I mean, you've got the tariff thing, 50% for Brazil. Now they're going to do potentially 50% to India. Now, technically, tariffs are supposed to be done in terms of emergency. They're doing the tariffs. 50% for this guy, 20% for this other one. You've got the Swiss Prime Minister coming over. I think he met today with Rubio, and what do you mean 39%? I can't pay 39%. So everything that the administration is doing, they need support. Even though you think that Trump does whatever he wants, well, to the extent where he's allowed to do whatever he wants, right? Because they want to put a lot of pressure. Now they could say, "You stop everything right now, because technically this is illegal what you're doing." And look, we're talking to we're having a discussion with district courts, and all these people are talking, and they want to know what's going on and this is a big thing because MAGA wants to know, and MAGA is basically a big support for Trump right now. If Trump loses the support, never mind what he did or didn't do. If he loses support, then he loses support for a lot of these efforts that he's putting together. And the idea, obviously, from the Democrats is they're trying to stop him. That's what they do. And so, what's actually happening and what it means? So, basically, what Congress has said, and this is just came out. We want to talk to the Clinton. Bill Clinton. Yeah, we want to talk to Bill Clinton. We want to talk to Hillary Clinton, and it's not just them. They want to see a lot of people. They want to see. The committee has requested testimony from 8 former senior law enforcement officials. They want to talk to James Comey. They want to talk to the Attorney General. They want to talk to William Barr. They want to talk to Merrick Garland. They want to talk to Jeff Sessions. They want to bring everybody in. So let me explain to you. I mean, that's kind of the news, but then obviously we want to know, but what does it really mean? What's the point of all that? Everybody comes down, give me the document. I want to see everything. And obviously, you need to understand when we say they, it's a bipartisan. It truly is a bipartisan. You got Republicans and Democrats wanted to see both Republicans and Democrats coming on board. Why are they doing that? Well, they're doing that because, frankly, the MAGA people are requesting it. They want to know what happened. They don't want a deep state. They don't want lying. They don't want the elite to get away with it. Now, remember, that was part of the reason why Trump got elected. He got elected to make America great again. But hey, Nikki. But he also he got elected also to, quite frankly, clean the pond, clean the whole area. We got to stop with this. We got to come through. So he's doing it, and then what's amazing is that MAGA is really a creation of Trump. So be careful, Trump's creation that could actually come and bite him at some point. But basically, they want to know what happened. So let's come out and bring all these people in. And so it's perverse because the Republicans obviously want. They want to know, when I say the Republicans, the elected officials, right? Because the people in Pennsylvania, the people even in New York, some of them, or wherever, they elected these people to clean up the swamp, to make America, make these people pay, get rid of everybody out of the country. I mean, this is the idea. I mean, not everybody, but the illegals, and that was part of and the other plan is basically do the MAGA thing. So part of that, the Republicans therefore have to do it. And how you do it? What can you do? I mean, there's nobody on trial right now. Maxwell, Ghislaine basically spoke for like 9 hours for the assistant, the deputy attorney general. And he went there and he got 100 names. And now the names are out. We're going to find out exactly what happened. And now she got herself in a nicer place. Maybe there was some deal. Trump really wasn't clear as to, was he part of the deal? Did he know what was going on? But the point is that they are doing it. They are going to be talking about it. And now, so the Republicans, strategically speaking, have to do something. So they're saying, bring me everything. Everyone and I want to know, I want to see everything, I want to know everything. So basically, Comey is going to be there, which is amazing. Is James Comey's daughter was the prosecuting attorney to Ghislaine Maxwell. She just got fired recently, and I think, maybe because she knew too much. And obviously, what I mean too much is that if they offer a pardon, she's going to scream bloody murder, basically. So they probably don't want her in the middle of all this. Point being, that's what's happening. That is what they want to do. So the Democrats, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? They're going to say, no, I don't know. Of course, bring them all in. Let's see what happens. Hopefully we come up with something, and since the elections are next year, I am all for it. So what is the idea and what is the point? Well, even Bill Clinton is coming. Now, keep in mind that Bill Clinton, why not just plead the fifth and nothing happened? Well, that's that as a point. And that's a question, right? So what are we really doing? We're really going to have an investigation? Well, you can't have an investigation. You can't have a trial in front of Congress. We want to hear you talk. We want to hear you talk. We want to hear what happened. Tell us about it. But frankly, at the end of the day, it really can't lead to much of anything, because what is the purpose? Well, the purpose of the subpoena is basically the committee, led by James Comey, which is Republican from Kentucky, is demanding access to both document and sworn deposition to examine how the Department of Justice investigated the Epstein file. So basically, they want to do two things. They want to know I guess what people want to know, everyone was saying, well, how come only one person? You mean of all these things that supposedly happened, only one person went to jail? Go ahead and get everything from these people. And that's what they're doing. They're going out and they're finding out, and they want to examine, first of all, how the Justice Department at that time did it, particularly focusing on whether investigations were properly handled and whether powerful individuals were shielded. I don't know exactly how you prove that, but the point is they want to know. Then they want to scrutinize potential connection because they have also issued Bill and Hillary Clinton along with law enforcement officials from multiple administrations. Obviously, they want to make sure that they're just not going after the Democrats. They're going after the Democrats and the Republican. It is a bipartisan over possible ties between Epstein and prominent figures. Interesting enough, they're actually getting together there, right? On one hand, the Republicans say, yeah, I want to know because the MAGA people, and the Democrats says, yes, I want to know because in case I find something, I could take your job away because elections are next year again. So why this official? Well, James Comey was the FBI director, so obviously they want to know. And he saw the early Epstein-related investigations, which at the beginning, I don't know if you know, but Epstein kind of got away with it. Interesting enough, a little very light, raising question about political interference and investigating continuity. Now, keep in mind, while all this is happening, all this discovering happening, you got Trump in the background that is saying, oh my God, this is out of control. People, you know what you're doing, right? This is going to create mass confusion. It's going to delay everything. It's going to suck the energy out of whatever I'm trying to do. And potentially, I'm going to lose support because this thing is going to be very difficult to manage appropriately. I mean, there's a lot of people saying a lot of things to a lot of people about a other bunch of other people. But that's what they wanted to know. And originally, Trump didn't want to talk about this. Remember when in February and March and May, they came around and they started saying, you know what, there was a list. There is no list. There is no list. And in fact, it's a big misunderstanding. A lot of big book deals coming according to, I am lying. We're going to find out. Well, hold that thought for a second. I'm not here to report the news, by the way. I'm just here to see what's really going on in the background. They're going to have William Barr, Jeff Sessions, which serve under Trump. Again, so Republican Merrick Garland, Department of Justice, official from both Democratic and upper to break the perception of power partisanship. Now, deep down, hopefully what they're hoping for, right, is that we maybe have a couple of book deals, we talk about other things, but at the end of the day, listen, people, we did it, we brought them over, there's nothing here. That's what they're hoping for, right? Not the Democrats, but the Republicans. And maybe there is nothing, right? Because at the end of the day, get the Clintons behind federal prison. That's by bringing Bill Clinton. Yeah, you're bringing Bill Clinton, but you're bringing a lot of history. You bring Lewinsky. Let's not forget that Bill Clinton, frankly, took a lot of trips. You say he never went on the island. You know, the Pleasure Island? You say, I never went there. But he went quite a few times. The committee issued subpoena to the Justice Department and instructed them to not whenever you want. By August 19th, we are serious people. We want to know what's happening. And deposition of former official and the Clintons are scheduled through October of 2025. So this whole thing gets done very quickly. Because they want to know. Hello, Molly. So, okay, so we're going to bring all these people in. We're going to schedule. They're going to come in and they're going to talk. And they're going to ask them, what's going on? What did you do? What were you doing? Now, of course, because this is a bipartisan, and they want to know what's happening, they're going to be talking about it's going to take forever, but they're going to talk about who was there. I mean, in terms of the officials, the legal, what did you do? How come you didn't prosecute this one? How come you let that one go? Whatever. That's going to be a lot of damage. And then a decision to subpoena Bill and Hillary, but not others. It's so much of people that were not subpoenaed because these other people that I'm talking about, Comey and Sessions, you may know who they are, you may not know who they are because they're lawyers and they're official. But then they bring in these two individuals, Bill and Hillary Clinton. What does she have to do with anything, right? Bill Clinton this is not me reporting, this is true, is confirmed to have flown an Epstein private jet, right, at least 26 times in the early 2000s. Hillary Clinton, Clinton, obviously, to be clear, Clinton has said, whoa, listen, I never went on the island, right? And I didn't engage in any criminal behavior. Of course, coming from him, remember, for those that were there, I did not have, remember what he said about Lewinsky. And it depends what you define by having, what. So basically, Hillary Clinton, while not directly connected to the Epstein, is included as a public figure possibly involved in email or communications related to his network. Okay. Well, we have both of them. How come we're not Donald Trump? Why not Donald Trump? Hey, Wilfred. In the investigation case, and no other people like Donald Trump, nobody else. It looks like it's selective targeting and political intent, meaning they want to make a lot of noise, but they don't want to make that much noise. That's what it feels like to me. Be careful, okay? See how this thing hands up, but it could be just, okay, people, meaning you and I. You want a show? We'll give you a show. We'll bring all these people in. They're all going to talk about it. It's going to be in front of Congress. Everybody's going to look at it. But at the end of the day, we really don't want to hear anything, because don't forget, there's a lot of people in Congress, a lot of people in the Senate. You tell me none of these people knew anything, are not involved, didn't go to any of the parties. Because all you have to say is you were in the party, so you're guilty now. And of course, if you're seeking re-election next year, they'll just say, well, we'll just say you were at the party and you were on that list. Maybe you didn't do anything. Maybe you could choose your friend a little bit better. Who knows? Anyway. So Bill Clinton confirmed that he has flown 26 times, so they want to know. So the committee is framing this as transparency for the public, which is what I'm telling you. You want to know, you're going to do. We're going to tell you everything that you want to know. Maybe not what you should know, but what you want to know. Right? James Comey has argued that all these subpoenas are meant to force disclosure about potential elite protection, especially given Epstein access to global political circles. It is true. There were a lot of people in these parties, a lot of people with a lot of money doing a lot of different things. I mean, some of them were doing deals, believe it or not. You go to these parties for networking at the end of the day. You want to talk, you want to schmooze, smoke a little bit, drink a little bit, do other things. Who knows what goes on and what is promised. The committee claims that Clinton represents public officials who may have been close to or aware of his network. Well, maybe you didn't do anything, Bill, but maybe you knew something. So you didn't know anything at all. You had no idea what's going on. You didn't see nothing. Now, why not Trump? Why? Because they were photographed together multiple times. How come you're not bringing Trump? In fact, Trump said that Epstein likes beautiful women on the younger side. He said that. Virginia Groff was one of the accusers, basically said that she saw him, but she never accused him of anything. So it's not so much that Trump did something. It's the fact that his name is going to be tied into this thing constantly. And then all you have to worry about is how is the public going to read into this? Because the public opinion, because you vote, right? You vote with your pen at some point. If they feel that, I don't believe this thing. You know what? This bunch of people lie. I know he didn't get indicted, but he was up to no good, and I don't like him. And that's it. That's all it takes. And then you vote for someone else, and then you just lost one vote. The question that I want to ask: is this political theater, or is this a real oversight? Is this real, or is this just we're just gonna, for the next 3 months talk about this, but nothing happens? So at least you get it out of your system, right? You want to run, go. And then when you're tired, you stop running. Some legal experts and watchdogs view the focus on the Clintons as political theater. Especially, we have the midterm coming up in 2026. Clinton equal Hillary includes Democrat. Okay? Although I've argued that any public figure who had substantial contact with the Epstein, like Prince Andrew, what about him? Bill Gates. Remember Bill Gates? A whole story about Bill Gates. Why come we don't talk to these people? So far, no criminal wrongdoing on anyone. That's very important to understand, right? So all we're going to see is Bill Clinton and Hillary. Question is, why those two? feels like political theater. But be careful, because you're holding on to a hot potato here. Yeah, you think you could manage it. You think you're going to be able to manage it. But suppose you don't and you drop it and it falls on somebody's foot and you say, "You were there?" Dog and pony show. Yes, I think that's the intent. But it's a very, very dangerous thing to play with. It's hard for me to believe that you got two people fighting, the Democrats and the Republican, over this theater, and you're going to make it come out all right like it was a big buffoonery. It was a big joke, and nothing really happened. You got to be careful. People are going to be talking. People are going to be saying things. Bill Clinton could come around and say, "Hey, he was there. If you really want to know, I don't know what he was doing there. Oh, so I didn't know he was there. He was." Clank, another Republican being questioned. He's going to say, "No, this is wrong." You know what I mean? Anything could come out of his mouth. Now, the next thing is what is it looks like political posturing? Like I told you, it's because it's selective. It's very selective as to who they pick and who they didn't pick. And frankly, what is the investigative framework here? What are we doing? We're bringing them one at a time, and they're asking, what were you doing and when and with whom? And did you know if this guy, they need to be in prison? Oh boy. The committee has no articulated specific lines of questionings. They say, "Come over, we want to talk to you." Nor offer a clear legal standard. This creates the appearance of political fishing expedition, not focus. We want to know everything and bring it over, but what is a questioning? Are you trying to see if they are the victims? Are you trying to figure out if someone was there? Do you want to find out if something actually happened? What are you looking for? What is your goal? You can't just say, "I want to know about everything. I want to know. I want to understand. I want to see." That's not going to be enough. And of course, keep in mind in the background, Trump is out there trying to keep the U.S. relevant again by doing all these things that, frankly, some of them are starting to be questioned to be legal, like the tariffs, frankly. I mean, it may happen. It may happen. You can't stop Trump. And the reason you can't stop Trump, Dan, is because Trump is running out of time. That's my strategy. I believe that he's running out of time and he wants to move as fast as possible because of the midterm. Because if the Republicans lose, I mean, every time he's going to say something, the Democrats say, "No, we're not doing it." And you know that they're not going to do anything at all for the right reason or for the wrong reason. The point is they won't do anything. And he knows that. And he wants to get it done before this happens. Because if he doesn't, that's going to be problematic for Trump, because unfortunately he's not going to be able to achieve what he's looking to do. And strategically speaking, I believe that what Trump is trying to get done is he's trying to basically get some sort of relevancy in what he's doing. That is something that he doesn't currently have, and that's a problem. Because he's out there, he's trying to get them to react appropriately, and he's trying to understand, but unfortunately, I'm not so sure if this is going to be good for him long term. Now, the other thing that you need to understand is that is this a legitimate oversight? Some inquiry is justified around the systemic failure, but it becomes questionable when target selection appears politically motivated. Right? It feels a bit to the left, or more to the left than to the right. We don't have a clear guidance, so what are you really doing? Okay. The bottom line is, while there is a valid oversight reasons to review how Epstein was investigated, right? It's a choice of who is subpoenaed that suggests there's at least partly political theater. It appears designed to score points, not to expose institutional failure. Meaning I want to know, and look, I'm doing the best I can here, right? I'm out there trying to do my kids. I want them to tell us what's going on. right? I have nothing to hide. I am in charge and I want to know. And now, has anyone ever been convicted, after appearing in front of Congress? Has this ever happened in such a manner? Yes, people have been convicted following congressional testimony, but it's rare. Okay, so conviction it typically stems from lying to Congress. If you're lying, right, or not from actual subject of the hearing, so it's not so much that they're going to accuse Bill Clinton in the middle. Oh my God, you did this, you're going to jail, or this Republican. No, nobody goes going to jail for those reasons. Now, if you're lying, that's different. For example, let's go back in time. I don't know if you remember Roger Clemens, right? Baseball steroid case. He testified in 2000 and denied using performance-enhancing drugs. He was charged with perjury. He was acquitted in 2012. Okay. Oliver North, I remember him. Summer of 87, admitted to helping divert funds from arms sales to Nicaragua. So that was a case. He was convicted. Conviction was overturned on appeal due to immunity granted by Congress. So, Michael Cohen, not too long ago, multiple times before Congress in 2019, he was convicted and 3 years in prison. Because the reason he lied to Congress, so Cohen, probably tied to Trump, they really gave it to him. Gordon Liddy testified. Congressional hearings contributed to criminal referrals and public exposure. So, yes, you testifying can lead to prosecution, but it's not like you're going to go to jail. So let's get out of the way. Okay, that's not going to happen. Let's see what people are saying. He went to the island 28 times. That's true from Hatton. They usually acquitted, according to Brad. That is correct. Brad says that Oliver North should be in jail full time for the rest of his life. That's true. He was doing some interesting stuff there, but he said. So, Congress, to be clear, Congress cannot convict anyone. They can refer the matter, but most witnesses bring legal counsel just in case. They could do immunity deal. In fact, they want to bring, what's her name? Ghislaine Maxwell as well. But except her, it's different. She said, guys, I'm going to go in and talk, but I need immunity. I already have 20 years hanging, and if you could remove the 20 years, it could be even better. But right now, I have 20 years on my head. I can't come out and say I did this, I did that because I saw this person. Then you're gonna blame me, and then I'm gonna be accused of something, and then it's gonna start all over again and give me 30 years. Although Congress says they don't want to give you immunity, then she's not gonna talk. And that's why they're probably going that route. Bring all these people because they don't want to give her immunity. And frankly, since she knows, and this is how perverse it is, since they know that she won't talk without immunity, then you say, well, we offer it to her, but she doesn't want to talk. What am I supposed to say? The FBI have enough evidence from the victims, according to Pleasant Gift. So it's a little perverse in the sense that they basically know that she cannot, I just realized what's going on, so I want to write down because this is a good idea. What's happening is they basically know that she won't testify, right? She won't testify without immunity. I mean, they don't know, they assume. They won't give it to her. So they won't give it to her. But yet they want to see her. But then she won't come. I said, well, I mean, we tried, but she doesn't want to come. I'm sorry. Oh, you want us to give her immunity on top of it? Whoa, I mean, that's a big one. So she won't. Maybe she just got what she wanted, which when she got, I don't know, she got transferred recently. And actually, they started to ask Trump, how did this happen that she got moved? Because they didn't use they only use a Bureau of Prison. They didn't use the Marshal Service to do it. And usually you're supposed to use the Marshal Service to move people from one prison to another. We'll see. Okay. So that's one thing. That's one of our findings right now. The second one is, even if she comes, even if she does, nobody gets, like I said before, nobody goes to jail for having said anything to Congress, unless you lie, maybe, unless you're Michael Cohen. Then then you're in trouble. So the bottom line is people have been convicted, but unless you lie under oath, that's not going to happen. And that's why all these people coming in, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, right? The reason I have this channel, which is called the Black Swan, is because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to figure out where are the black swan hiding, right? A black swan is an event that's basically going to create a lot of issues for you. You say, well, I'm not going to Congress. Who cares about this woman? Well, you do care. And I will tell you why you care. The reason you care is because if this thing goes sideways and somehow the Republican lose the House, it's over. Meaning Trump cannot do anything anymore. He's going to be questioned everything. It's going to be all over again. Everything stops. And don't forget, you see all those deals that you're seeing in tariffs. You may agree with the tariffs, you may disagree with the tariffs, but a lot of them have not been finalized. A lot of them still need to be negotiated. For example, the thing with the Japanese, with Japan, for example, while you have a tariff deal, technically, you really don't have a full understanding. In Japan, for example, the $550 billion that Trump keeps saying they're going to invest in the U.S., the Japanese are saying, whoa, hold on, it's a loan. I am not giving you cash for you to invest in the U.S., right? That's not what it is for. You may, because even Trump said, this is like a bonus. It's like a sign-on bonus for the U.S. for them to only get 15%. And Japan says, what do you mean sign-on bonus? I'm giving you a loan. Maybe 5% is cash. Already, these are loans that needs to be repaid. Okay, well, what about the what's going on with the European, the $750 billion that they've agreed on? Frankly, it's $250 billion a year. Well, actually, they need to spend $250 billion in oil and from the U.S., but Europe doesn't use that much oil or gas. They don't have a need for that much money. They're already spending 100. You want them to spend another 250? So that deal is it's being negotiated, and the $600 billion that's being renegotiated. So arrest needs to be made, and you will see the crabs in the bucket play out. Pleasant gift. Let's see. So all of these people are basically kind of in a holding pattern. Hopefully, they say, hopefully Trump goes away in some fashion so we could go back to business as usual. And he goes away next year if Congress loses and it becomes Senate. If the Democrat takes over next year, right? It'll be a split kind of situation. It's going to be tough to get anything done. So that's why it's important. That's why you need to understand, right? Because then obviously if that goes away, then the market is going to take a crapper. And then you're not going to collect the money that you thought you were going to collect from those tariffs. Like today, the Swiss Prime Minister is visiting Marco Rubio. She's coming over literally, please, 39%. Switzerland is going to pay 39% tariffs. They don't want to pay 39% tariffs. It's going to be not so much that they're paying, but it's going to impact their business, their ability to sell to anybody to want. Plus 39%, it's killing the business. They're going to let go people in Switzerland. This is terrible. We need to do something. So she's also coming, and she will also be preparing and presenting some money. I think they all realize that the way you deal with Trump right now is you just get 15% tariffs. You give him a bunch of money in one form or the other. And then it's okay, but and then you agree later on exactly what we meant when we said the $200 billion. Even he wants now $400 billion from Taiwan, and he wants $100 billion from Apple. Give me, because he realizes we're not going to be able to build anything. Now all of these things, I mean, they may sound complicated. It may sound pushy, like an emperor, whatever. But let me tell you, he's got to move quickly. And the reason Trump needs to move quickly is because not so much to make America great again, but really to make sure that America doesn't become irrelevant. And I will tell you that the clock is ticking, unfortunately, for the US. You want it, you like it or not. And even if you're not in the US, you should worry about that, because if you lose the US as a force to be reckoned with, then you're going to have to deal with China and Russia. Because they, my friends, are not moving. They're not bulging. They're staying in their corner, right? They're not coming to the US crying for better deals, right? That's not happening. Obama gave Iran how much? A lot of money. Can appease. So, from a strategic point of view, what you need to understand is these are big topics. Big topics happening, big topics that needs to be dealt very soon. You want to know how soon? I'll tell you how soon. In the US, okay, the US share of global manufacturing output has declined 30% to 16% from 2000 to today. Critical industries, semiconductors, batteries, steel, and machine tools are increasingly dominated by China, South Korea, Taiwan, and Germany. This is when Trump says, let's make America great again, because it sounds better, right? It's like, I don't have a problem. I have a challenge, right? That's what you say. You never have a problem. You have a challenge, right? U.S. pharmaceutical sector. The U.S. leads in R&D and biotech innovation. Great, we got smart people. But the U.S. rely heavily on foreign production. 90 to 95% of active pharmaceutical ingredients come from somewhere else than the U.S. That's why he's moving fast. That's why, hey, Jose, that's why he needs to move fast. That's why he needs to do these things. Salary cap term limits for the government according to Aaron. That's true. I mean, some of these people have never seen a day's work in their lives. All they did in politics. And that's a whole different topic, but that needs to happen as well. So the clock is ticking for the US, and that's why this thing is extremely important. Because then what can happen is if this whole Epstein thing goes sideways and you lose the people, then you lose the ability to do anything. And then these countries are going to say, aha, I don't have to pay. I don't have to pay anything. Let's discuss some more. Because you will notice one thing is that Trump right now is talking to India and is saying, listen, Modi, you got to do something, right? You got to stop spending the money that you have to buy oil from Russia, right? And the reason he's saying that, frankly, is because he needs to, he says that it's because he wants to stop the war in Russia, in Ukraine. That's not the reason why he's doing it. Trump is not forcing India, which relies heavily on the U.S. and also on Russia for its oil. He's not really doing that to stop the war in Ukraine. No, he's not. What he's doing, he wants to put a wedge between Russia and India because they're not responding to him. And even India is not really responding to Trump. I know. They're not really saying any. They're not really responding. They are saying that no, I'm going to keep buying. I'm going to keep buying. I'm not stopping. I'm sorry. I'm not stopping. I'm not going to stop buying oil from India. So India is defying Trump on the Russian oil, despite the tariff threats, which means there's two things Trump and the U.S. administration is trying to achieve, right? Make the U.S. relevant again. So let's invest in the U.S. Invest your 600 billion or whatever, the 550. Obviously, it's cash. Bring it over, bring it over. But he also needs to make sure that these three don't get together. And so far, China is not replying. Well, they're talking back and forth, but they're like, I'll see. Let me think about it. Russia, as you could see, said he would end this thing in 2 weeks. It's not happening. And unfortunately, Trump is finding out that India experts believe the U.S. president is trying to gain short-term leverage in trade negotiation with New Delhi, but it's not working. India is defying Trump's on Russian oil despite the tariff threats. And yet, my friends, I will tell you that India is heavily reliant on the U.S. It's not like no. The U.S. is our largest trading partner. They rely heavily on the U.S. for technology. The education, they send a lot of students to this country in a strategic alignment. In fact, they are more a relationship with the U.S. and Russia, and even less on China. So why they're not listening to Trump? Because the fear is developing that they are already together. Don't forget, India, Russia, and the U.S. are China, India, and Russia are part of the BRICS. They're together. They're basically putting this group of people that talks, against the U.S. or for the U.S. But the point they're talking, they're discussing, and they're kind of starting to ignore the U.S. more and more. And that's what the U.S. administration knows. And they say, listen, it's not working. Because you expect this guy to stop buying oil? Where is he going to get the oil from? I don't care. But I am his largest trading partner. I am his largest technology provider. We do a lot of education and talent recruitment and all that from India. So he needs to listen to me. Well, he's not listening anymore. And that's a problem, because now that means that their allegiance is further along than you think. Because they technically have very low strategic defense with China and trade. They don't do much with China at all. So that's kind of what the problem. And then this is the reason why this whole thing with Clinton and what's his name, Maxwell, that could go many ways. And if it goes sideways, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a lot of damage. And they need to contain this thing, because if this thing is not contained, then you're losing, right? Get rid of the IRS. I don't know about that. So that's one thing, and you could see in the way that they are operating that it feels a bit weird that this could be more political theater than anything else, unfortunately. And just to remind everyone, what the committee is framing is James Comey has argued that these subpoenas are meant to force disclosure about potential elite protection. I'm not so sure what elite protection means, especially given Epstein access to global political circles. So the more I'm looking at this thing, the more I think that what they're doing is basically political theater. They're going to bring all these people in without a real framework. They're going to say, okay, talk to us about Epstein. Or are they going to say, give us a list of the names? And he's going to say, I don't know any names. Just because somebody was at a party doesn't mean that he engaged in those activities. So I'm not going to accuse someone. Well, did you do anything? I'm not going to answer that. I got my lawyer. Are you nuts? Are you lying? No, I'm not lying. Your wife is here. What about her? Now, of course, it was 26 times he flew around. So for you to be invited, of course, the one thing that he did say is the reason he flew back and forth is because, let me double check, but basically he went around quite a bit, but essentially it was for business. The guy gives him a flight. So, let me double check, but why was Clinton? flying, on those. What was Clinton on the plane? But let's see. But I think he was just hitching up a ride, I guess. In fact, the plane is called the Lolita Express. Anyway, multiple time between 2001 2003. And basically, the explanation is that he acknowledged flying on the flight at least 4 times in connection with Clinton Foundation work. Now, the Clinton Foundation, I used to say I'm in New York all the time. Basically, it's a very worthy organization helping people around the world called the Clinton Foundation. And African-related industries having a connection with the work of the Clinton Foundation. They included trips to Africa, Asia, and Europe. So, yes, it was his plane, but, And the flight logs tells a broader story. The flight logs reviewed by others see his name on flight manifest at least 26 times. Now, he said, hold on, I went on this plane in Africa, Asia, and Europe as for the Clinton initiatives. You didn't ask me about the rest of the stuff, right? In some instances, Clinton's Secret Service details was not listed, raising scrutiny, though not definite proof of wrongdoing. Logs also include other celebrities and academics and public figures, many of whom deny knowing Epstein conduct. He has denied ever visiting Epstein private island. He also denied knowing anything about his crime, but he was on the plane 4 times as opposed to 26. That's a huge difference. His service secret details weren't there. It smells fishy, right? But who knows? Maybe he didn't do anything. But then again, Bill Clinton is not on trial here. Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't know. We need the manufacturing to come back. If our economy crashes, the world economy crashes. We are what keeps the world economy going. Well, that's that's how this story fits into the grander scheme of things, I'm afraid. And you've got to understand what is happening. Because if you don't understand what's happening, then you're missing out. And if you're missing out, then you are going to be in big trouble at some point because, what Trump is doing will impact everyone. I mean, you could agree, you could disagree as to what he's doing. You may think that what he's doing doesn't make any sense, that he shouldn't be doing these things. And yeah, I know, but the point is, it's happening. It's happening as we speak. And the concern that I have is that all of these things may end up going sideways very, very quickly. And that's always a problem because he's doing a lot of things that are frankly a bit problematic right now. I mean, he wants to, for example, 200% tariffs are coming. You can't do 200%. I mean, 100% is enough. That's enough to kill the business. 200%, you're overdoing it. That's amazing that we are in this situation right now, but that is a fact. That is what's happening. And frankly, not so sure how you fix this, how we move forward. How does it get handled? Clinton. So basically, they're bringing all these people in front of Congress, and all these people are going to be talking about a bunch of different things. What are they going to be talking about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Is there a plan? I mean, are you asking me? Are you giving me a certain direction, or we're just talking to talk? Yeah, basically, because you know what? At the end of the day, this is political theater. But even political theater needs a framework, because then that hot potato that you're handling, you may not be able to manage it appropriately. What do I mean by that? Well, essentially, the purpose of the subpoenas, for example, right? So the committee is led by James Comey, which is a Republican, and he's demanding access to both documents and sworn depositions and examine how the Department of Justice investigated Epstein. So they're also going after the officials that handled the case. And of course, at that time, we're talking of a dear friend. Who are they bringing in? James Comey. And in incredible sort of circumstances, his own daughter, who was just fired by Trump, was the one that handled the case with Ghislaine Maxwell, and she was just fired recently. Looks like they're probably going to let her go. But James Comey, FBI director, who oversaw the early Epstein-related investigation, he was dismissed in 2017, so they're raising questions about political interference and investigating continuity. They want to know how come this guy got away with it. Did you guys have anything to do with it? Did you let him? Did you let him go? Did you do everything you could to make it happen, or you just let it happen? And then you have William Barr, Jeff Sessions. You probably remember those names. Merrick Garland. I mean, it's a mix of both. All the AG, all the attorney generals are being brought back in, who oversaw during the key phases of the Maxwell testimony. Officials from both Democratic and Republican administrations are included to break perception of partisanship. But then what are you doing, really? You're just talking, you're just bringing, this is political theater, so we're not going to find out about anything because maybe there's nothing to find out. No. There is something to find out because it is hard to believe that all these people, all that money, and let me remind you, okay, how much money we're talking about here. Okay, this is not small. So basically, when he died, okay, Epstein was worth over $600 million. How did he get that much money? And it's the way the money is composed that's interesting. He had about $200 million in equity investments. Okay, well, he's got some investments. He had $56 million in cash. Who walks around with that kind of money? $113 million in real estate, $18 million in planes, $200 million in financial assets. What did he do? Well, he was a manager. He was managing money. In fact, at one point, he was totally in charge. In fact, he had power of attorney for the guy that used to be the CEO of The Limited. Wow. Why would they give him that much money to manage on top of everything else that he has? This feels to me someone that's collecting money from all these places, just buying a bunch of things. Now, you have to understand also that he was he didn't for some reason he didn't go to jail. The other guy went to jail, but he was involved in a Ponzi scheme, big Ponzi's, $1 million, $100 million Ponzi scheme. He got away with it because he talked, and I think he ratted on the other guy. The other guy like 20 years in jail, and he told him he knew everything. But obviously, who speaks first gets away with it, and that's what happened. There's a victim compensation fund, obviously, that was put together. But the point is, so he got all that money from all these people, giving him all that money. And he invited all these people over. Yeah, these presidents came into that. And then in the middle of all this, while all this was going on, he was running the girls, literally. And no one saw anything. That's not possible. And that's why they're saying, okay, I know, this sounds ridiculous. So we're going to bring all these people in. They're going to come to Congress. They're going to tell everything they know. So at least you people, leave us alone and you realize what's going on. And by the way, nobody has gone to jail. Most of the time you don't by talking to Congress. Unless you lie to Congress. So you're going to do all these things and nothing is going to happen. And okay, can we move on? And the thing is there's two issues with what the Republicans have. The problem is, one, they got the Democrats in front of them, right? The Democrats. So the Republicans. Let me write this down for future reference. So the Republicans, what do they have in front of them? Well, they have the Democrats, and they have something else in front of them: the truth. What really happened? Suppose that comes out. Even though we call it political theater, yeah, it's political theater, but you may not be able to manage the political theater the way you think you can, and you may not manage it appropriately. And if you lose control of it, then the truth comes out. Are you ready to hear the truth? Don't forget to join the channel, my friends. I am tracking for you on a daily basis almost 11 risks for this economy. Maxwell is one of them, believe it or not. Hello, Mary. Mary Haney. What else? I'm tracking the economy. The economy is doing quite well, believe it or not. Stock market, quite well. Richard, how are you? Stock market. The dollar is weak, but we want it weak. That's what Trump wants. The tariffs that's a whole different ball game. We've got 50%. We're upsetting a lot of people with these tariffs, but if you want to make America, if you want to keep America relevant and you want them to invest, because basically what Trump is doing with the tariff, he's saying, listen, do you want 5%? Right? Do you want 5% or 15%? Do you want 15% tariffs? Then I need some money, and that's what he's doing right. And that is his strategy. He wants to invest. Hey, Benjamin Rankin, how you doing? Thanks for that. He wants that money to come in, but the 15%. But he knows at the end of the day, is whoever's in the U.S. is going to pay for it. Maybe not the people, although at some point. But he knows that we need some money right now, and that's why he's getting 600 billion from that one, 500 billion for this other one, 750. You could always argue, well, is this real money? Or they're just kind of pacifying him and saying, yeah. But ultimately, you're going to go away anyway, so we don't have to pay any. We'll find out. Then this is a way to follow very closely. Then you got the Powell situation where basically he's going to get rid of Powell in some fashion, and Powell is going to have to go. Because there's 7 people on the board of the Federal Reserve. 4 of them are Biden appointee, 2 are appointed by Trump, and another woman, incredibly enough, one of the Federal Reserve, and there's something cooking there. She decided to leave way before her time and go and teach somewhere. And she did not vote on the rates. And of course, another topic is the fact that today, last week, Trump fired a woman from BLS. Right? He fired that lady. Why? Why would you fire her? I had to fire her. Now remember that the numbers group came out in Feb for the March and June numbers were very low, extremely low for the very low for employment. And if these numbers were actually higher, what is okay for other countries, William says to put tariff on us, but we can't turn around and do the same thing. Well, yeah, but you're putting a lot more tariffs this time around. India, from what I read, is putting around 6-7% on the U.S. And now he's talking 25 to 50%. So the tariff is not really about, again, this is where that's why this channel is about, really. See, what's going on? Where's the black swan here? Well, the black swan is, it's not so much that he's charging, because we're being taken advantage of. No. What he wants really, he wants them to, first he wants to break up all these people that are playing together, like China, India, and Russia. And then He wants them to literally bring some money over. Because because the tariffs, at the end of the day, yeah, you're collecting 300 billion. It's a lot of money, but at the end of the day, it's not gonna be paid by India or China. They're not paying the tariffs. The people that are bringing it in are paying the tariffs. Now, do they decide to have you pay for it is a different story, but that's what's happening at the end of the day. And we're also looking at China, that's decoupling, inflation. Of course, the problem with inflation, we don't know what's happening with inflation because inflation is slowly, we don't even know how to calculate inflation, so we've got to be careful. I know. And that's where we are with everything right now, and that's a damage. That's a lot of damage because we don't know where this ends up. And then Russia. I mean, we had an envoy in Russia today, and he had a good talk. But how much of that is that going to continue? That's the question. And the Trump administration itself is in turmoil with all the people that he's letting go, and now we have this thing coming up pretty soon. So don't forget that all these people are going to be talking and are going to be going to the committee issued subpoena to the Justice Department. And all this needs to be done by August 19th. That's doesn't give us much time here. These people need to come in, and they're going to be. And the first president in my lifetime has put America first, except for maybe Reagan, but it's not like the guy is doing. The turn is he is putting America. Yes, he's putting America first. Well, let's put it this way. I think at this point he's trying to prevent America from going down. Because I'm telling you, in the U.S. right now, it's if I look at the economy, it's the clock is ticking. U.S. manufacturing and pharmaceutical competitiveness could critically erode by 2030 without bold, consistent investment. The U.S. still leads in innovation, but production and supply chain are increasingly vulnerable. We can barely survive. Well, of course, you're going to say, but, and you hear that a lot. Well, I mean, it's just industry. I mean, industrial production is 20% of the U.S., 80% are services, so who cares? Let them make the stuff for us. Well, but suppose they stop making it. Suppose, as is happening right now, from what you could see from their reaction, that China, India, and China and Russia start playing with each other over there, and they stay by themselves, and they say, we don't need the U.S. anymore. Thank you very much. We don't even need your dollar anymore, so that's it. What are you going to do when most of your medicine comes from China? China tomorrow could say, that's it, you're not getting... Oh, by the way, I mean, not to get into another topic, but the China right now, I said... rare earth mineral. Yes, I know. I'm supposed to let you have those. We need to talk more about that, because frankly, I am not so sure if I want to give you the rare earth mineral, because you're going to use it in your weapons. And I don't want that to happen. Let me see if I could see why I saw that. There was a story where basically China, obviously Trump is shifting into deal-making mode with China. The White House puts a pride on doing business as it prepares for the talk that happened last week. But it's... they don't want to give the U.S. the rare earth minerals. Let me double check on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what's happening here. What did China say about rare earth minerals? I mean, to the U.S. defense industry. They don't mind giving you the rare for your cell phone, but they may not give. I mean, the signs are here, people. Okay, the signs are here. They may not want to. China has issued clear warnings to U.S. defense and industry leaders about its control over rare earth mineral export. This strategy leverage is being used to shape U.S. policy and supply chain behavior. U.S. defense contractors and technology experience steep. I don't know if anybody works in the defense industry out there, but steep reduction and steep disruptions, with magnet exports falling up to 75% in the month after restrictions were imposed. Roughly 78% of U.S. military weapons depend on China-sourced rare earth minerals. Especially something like samarium are crucial for high-temperature magnets in missiles and jet engine. These are strategic implications. This is serious business. This is serious business. And that's what's happening right now. They're having difficulty sourcing the materials because China is basically saying, I don't think so. Not right now. I don't think I want to give it to you right now. Maybe I'll give it to you later, but not right now. Why? This was not a problem before. Yeah, I know, but let's just wait. Let's just wait until I'm more comfortable, and because I don't like the idea of giving you these weapons, these magnets, because my concern is then what you're going to do, you are going to basically use them against me. And I don't want that. I know. This is a problem. And you could see the signs, right? The signs are there. You just have to learn how to read them. That's what's important. And if you're not reading them, array. If you're not reading them, then you're in trouble. And this is the reason why we have this channel, right? Because we want to understand what's happening. So what's happening, I will tell you. Here's a few thoughts on the matter, right? So basically, as far as what Trump is trying to do, what I think he's trying to do, right now, this thing about the Clinton is basically political posturing, right? They basically bring all these people over. We're going to talk about it. We're going to do lots of things. But at the end of the day, nobody ever goes to jail for these things, can make lots of noise. And we're pleasing the Republicans. Hopefully the Democrats don't get what they want. The Democrats, hopefully they get something that they want. And then it goes away and then we move on and nothing happened. But of course, we are bringing a lot of people. They're going to say a lot of things that could open into different things, and it could go on and on and on and on and on. And maybe something comes out that is not so good for the government. So that's always a possibility. Now, overall, what is he trying to do? Well, what it would appear to be is that he's concerned that there is at the end of the day, he's trying to keep the U.S. relevant, like any country. Even India wants to keep India great again. But in the case of the U.S. is slowly losing ground, slowly. Rare minerals weren't actually rare. Most can be found in the Western Hemisphere, but it does take one to develop new. Yes. But Gob is right. The thing is, the U.S. has stopped doing these things. So you want other people to build things for you, and that's what happens. And you forget how to do them. And it takes years to dig this thing. And the U.S. is dependent on weapons. If tomorrow there's a war, if tomorrow China decides to invade Taiwan, good luck to you. You're never going to get there. And it's very easy. Because right now, Taiwan is very concerned about what's happening. In fact, there's a show in Taiwan right now that talks about that same issue, that talks about invasion from China. So my concern is that I think Trump got there too soon for China. They were not ready. So now they have to decide, what do we do? Do we do what we wanted to do now, or we wait because they look a bit weak right now? Well, let's and you know the episode that they have in Taiwan is very simple. Basically, it's the story of this plane, this Chinese plane that crashes in Taiwan, and then basically China says, "Oh, let me go pick up my people. They're stuck in Taiwan," and then they bring a bunch of soldiers and they stay in Taiwan, and that's how you invade the country. And then I guess the U.S. has to come in and say what's going on, and but meanwhile they're there, and of course then you lose access to all of your microchips, semiconductors. And of course, if you have a fight with China, they stop everything. Boom, you don't have access to none of your medicine. This is serious. Of course, probably not going to happen, right? Neither did COVID. Nobody thought that COVID could actually happen, and it did happen. So I'd be concerned. The end of the Democratic Party. Well, they're not in good shape right now, but be careful because they're going to be following those congressional testimonies very closely. They have nothing to lose. They just wait for the mistake. And of course, want it or not, Trump is going to be impacted. That's the concern that he has. They're concerned that Trump is going to be impacted by this thing. And how is he going to be impacted? Well, the time alone to talk about it, to discuss it, to explain, to bring his people over, that is definitely going to impact him. I don't know what you think, but that's what I think. And hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully these things work themselves out the way they're supposed to, but I'm not so sure. I'm concerned that at some point these people say something they weren't supposed to say, and then we're off to the races. And I mean in a big way, because what happens is they are going to say something that no one wants to hear, or something that they were not supposed to talk about. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Okay, my friends. So over the next couple of days, we got lots of issues to talk about. We're going to talk about the tariff, and especially what happened with the Swiss, because I think that's quite interesting. You're going to see there's the Swiss on one end, and then you've got the Chinese and the Russian on the other end. You have AI that's reshaping. You got a Trump confrontation, the big pharma, 200%. Then we're going to talk about Social Security. Believe it or not, there's not enough money past 2033. I hate to say that. And stagflation, Caterpillar, GM, and Levi's have already started to feel the impact of the tariffs. And of course, the final one is, can trade war lead to real wars? And I will tell you that in the past,